Cavalier Poetry. Cavalier poetry derives from a group of 17th century poets who were supporters of King Charles I during the English Civil War. The Royalist Party is a historical name of King Charles I supporters, but the parliamentarians, or the people who supported Parliament during the English Civil War, gave the Royalists the nickname of Cavaliers. King Charles supported the arts, especially those who created the type of art he enjoyed, so this prompted poets to write in support of the crown and speak out against the parliamentarians. King Charles I was also known for being greedy, thoughtless, and indecisive, so the Cavalier poetry reflects some of these traits. Cavalier poets greatly differed from previous metaphysical poets, whose poetry was centered on spiritual, scientific, and moral beliefs. They preferred to write about simple pleasures and used distinguished verses with clear expressions. They referenced the ancients and commonly wrote of beauty, nature, love, sensuality, drinking, and social life. A major theme in Cavalier poetry is carpe diem, or seize the day. They showed society that poetry can be written about trifle aspects of life, and they also drew upon the knowledge of Horace, Cicero, and Ovid, and they often used religious symbols through which they were able to impress the king. Some major poets of Cavalier poetry. Ben Jonson is known as the original Cavalier poet. His followers named themselves the tribe of Ben, and Cavalier poets such as Robert Herrick, Richard Lovelace, and Thomas Carew were among his followers. Robert Herrick was a close follower of Ben Jonson, so much so that he actually wrote 5 poems about him. In 1647, he was removed from his position of Dean Prior of Devonshire because of his support of the Royalist Party. Herrick was inspired by classical Roman poetry and wrote about village customs and country life. Richard Lovelace was a Cavalier poet as well. He was a soldier and a courtier, and he wrote one of his most famous poems to Althea from prison while he was imprisoned for presenting a royalist position to the House of Commons. He was imprisoned again after he was wounded at the Battle of Dunkirk, and after spending a year in prison, he published To Lucasta, Going to War. He was eventually killed because of his extreme support for the Royalist Party. Thomas Carew became a server at the table of King Charles I in 1630. He was good friends with Ben Jonson, and his manuscript is known as being one of the most complex of the Cavalier poets. Some of his writings were about love, but many others addressed the court circle directly. To Lucasta, Going to the Wars by Richard Lovelace. Tell me not, sweet, I am unkind, that from the nunnery of thy chaste breast and quiet mind to war in arms I fly. True, a new mistress now I chase, the first foe in the field, and with a stronger faith embrace a sword, a horse, a shield. Yet this inconsistency is such as you too shall adore. I could not love thee dear so much, loved I not honor more. So this poem was written for a woman that Lovelace loved named Lucy. This poem is basically about a man who must say goodbye to a woman he loves to go to war, and this is very fitting to Lovelace's life because he left Lucy to go fight in the Battle of Dunkirk. This poem is a great example of a Cavalier poem because it is about something as simple as a man leaving a woman when he goes off to war. So the first stanza, the speaker asked his lover to not think of him as unkind because he must leave her to go to war. The speaker says that he must leave his lover's innocent heart in mind. In the second stanza, the speaker says that he is chasing a new mistress, which is the first enemy or foe he sees on the battlefield. He says he will hold on to his horse and shield with an even tighter faith than he did his lover. In the final stanza, the speaker tells the mistress that in time she will understand why he must leave her, because he cannot love her if his love for war was not and honor was not greater. So some poetic literary elements included in the poem include rhyme. The overall rhyme pattern is A, B, A, B, C, D, C, D, E, F, E, F. And the author uses end rhymes where one word at the end of a line will rhyme with another word at the end of another line. For example, in the second stanza, he uses chase and embrace and field and shield. Alliteration is also used in the second line of the second stanza. Lovelace uses alliteration by repeating the letter F at the beginning of the word, saying the first foe in the field. He does this to add emphasis on the fact that he is chasing a new mistress, and it is a mistress of war. A metaphor is also used in this line. So a mistress is being compared to an enemy on the battlefield, saying, "True, a new mistress now I chase, the first foe in the field." Some themes and symbols. So the theme of the poem is the importance of love and honor. The speaker would not love his mistress as much as he did if he dishonored himself and his country by not going to war. And several religious symbols are used in the poem, as in many other Cavalier poems of the time. The speaker uses the word nunnery, a place where none lives, to describe his mistress as being devout and innocent. Later in the poem, he uses the word faith, saying, "With a strong faith embrace." He states this because it symbolizes how he now worships war instead of his lover.